We had to wait 24 hours. And then after the game last night, we had the draw for the second round, didn't we?
Yeah.
And yeah, this is the round when the teams in the Premier League that aren't in Europe come into play. And we've drawn a Premier League side away in the form of Sheffield United. So probably one of the better draws that we could have, I think.
Absolutely. It was... I think I've got to be honest, Forest was at the top of my want list, and then Sheffield United were right there as well. It's a great game. It's a new ground for a lot of people. I've done it myself, but not for a Lincoln game because I wasn't born the last time we played Sheffield United. But no, it was a really good draw. Obviously, the last ball out of the pot again, as seems to always happen. For those that watched the draw, I just need a little ball to start talking into.
What was Martin O'Neill doing?
And then Mark Chapman was also absolutely atrocious. Port Vale Crew, an all League Two tie, and Leicester being into League Two. It was just a really, really poor showing. But then maybe that's what happens when they leave it until 11 o'clock to actually do the draw.
Yeah, it was quite late, wasn't it? I was. We watched the Leicester Burton game, and then kind of had it on afterwards for the draw, and I was just like, Is this some sort of weird fever dream? Because as I said, Martin O'Neill was every time he drew a ball, it was like, right, rustle it around. I'm going to talk into the mic, and then this is number 22, like talking directly into the ball. It's like, what are you doing?
He was sort of corrected it because you try and
call them out.
Things, and he was then called out, and he carried on doing it. That was the first part of it. It was really weird. But to kind of stop the tangent because we can moan.
Let's get back on track.
We can moan about that all afternoon, to be honest. But yeah, Sheffield United. I mentioned the fact that I wasn't born the last time we played them. That was 23 years ago, back in the year 2000, back when Ben was only 50.
I was 14. I was 14.
Imagine. So we played Sheffield United back then. Funnily enough, also in the League Cup. That was back when the League Cup had 2 rounds. Mm-hmm. 2 legs, that's the word I'm looking for. 2 legs and it was still the second round. And we won the home game, which was the most recent game. We won that 1-0. We slightly lost 6-1 in the away game. But yeah, it was... you can't really take much from sort of the past record against Sheffield United. But just in case if anybody did want to, we've played 36, we've won 8, drawn 4, lost 24. Like I said, obviously the last time there was a win at home, a loss away. We can't, like I say, you can't really take much. I know that, Ben, you've got a few words to say on Sheffield United themselves. But it's a winnable game is kind of the headline.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the fact is that Sheffield United they've kind of gone up from the Championship. At the end of last season, they're going into the Premier League, and from by all accounts, it doesn't seem like there's the sort of party atmosphere that you'd expect from a team that are going up into the Premier League, because they've had a number of financial issues over the past few years, but the main one seems to be that they don't seem happy with the ownership at the moment. I think my understanding is it's one of the sort of lesser Saudi princes that owns the club. He's I think now the second or the actual poorest in inverted commas, like the least wealthy club owner in the Premier League. I think he was one of the least wealthy owners in the Championship as well. And it just seems to be that he's trying to find a buyer for the club at the moment, and it doesn't seem to be happening because he also wants to maintain some sort of controlling interest in the club. even after it's sold, which a lot of people are kind of going, well, no. But it is a winnable game in my opinion, because you've got a team that I think they've made 3 signings, but they've also sold 2 of their best players from last season. They've sold one to Burnley, and I think one's gone to Marseille, I believe.
Jai has gone to Marseille. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, so it's like you're looking at a team that have lost their stars going into the biggest league in the world. It's like, well, surely the benefits that you'd get and the bonuses that you'd get from that promotion would allow you to keep those players and expand your squad. But it definitely seems like there's a little bit of turmoil there at the moment, and whether that's going to be resolved by the time we go there, I seriously doubt that, because we're looking at about 2, maybe 3 weeks.
It's they're not going to be in the best position. I think most people who have any kind of interest in the Prem are putting them as their expected bottom team, which is crazy to think when, let's be honest, at the start of the summer, most people put in Luton there, and possibly rightly so. They would have been sort of the smallest club in the Prem at the time and the weakest squad. But yeah, Sheffield United are really trying to take that mantle off them, which is it's like you say, it is definitely a winnable game. I think the only potential worry, they do play Man City on the Sunday. So for those that haven't seen that, like I said, they're playing Man City on the Sunday. It almost definitely then confirms that we will be the Wednesday night, especially with Sheffield Wednesday also at home, so they'll take the Tuesday. My only slight worry is if they get absolutely thumped by Man City, are they just going to want a reaction, and are they going to put out a reasonably strong squad for a morale-boosting win, kind of like what we did against Carlton? If they do, it's obviously going to be slightly tougher. But if they don't, we could very much see us playing against the likes of Daniel Jefferson and Willa Sula players. Willa Sula we've been linked with before, played against us in the friendly against them a couple seasons back, the sort of 2 60-minute matches. Daniel Jefferson, formerly at Burton on loan. Obviously, Willa Sula was at Derby. So if the likes of them play, their players at our level. So it could be quite an even game, like we say, a winnable game if they are willing to set it up like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot does hinge on that game on the Sunday. So I think you're probably right on that one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna, I'm aiming to go. It should be a decent one. It's a big ground, a big stadium. I've never been to Bramall Lane myself. I think it's going to be. They're well supported as well. I think even in spite of a lot of the problems that they're having off the pitch at the moment, they're going to be selling out every week. Yes, a lot of that's going to be the fact they're now in the Premier League, but they've never had a low attendance, have they? Traditionally, so
this is it will be a bit of a fortress to go to, and quite frankly, that'll be a good thing, because we're going to take a good few thousand. We took 1,750 to Notts County. We're going to take more than that to Sheffield United. There's almost no doubt about that. I've actually been to Bramall Lane twice, once for a football match and once for a concert. It's a decent enough ground, kind of in the city, surrounded by terraced houses and such. Not too far from the station either. So hopefully the trains can run nicely and we can have a bit of a football special on the way back, which would be nice. So. I do believe at the minute there isn't a train back from Sheffield to Lincoln, so hopefully
that's going to be a fun one to do, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, Sheffield United away, possibly one of the best draws that we could have had, and yeah, by all accounts, I think it's one that we might be able to squeak through.
Apart from the fact that, again, and I mean, to be honest, I actually see this as a positive. Not everybody does. Another away game that is now 7 in a row in this competition. The last one being Liverpool at home during COVID, or Everton at home, excluding the COVID matches. I think we're closing in on a record. I couldn't find out what the exact League Cup record was, but I could find out that in an English domestic competition, it is Stockport with 11 in the FA Cup. So we're only a few off.
I mean, to be fair, I think Gaz made the point earlier in his back video from the Garden, like in this competition, I think it's probably better if you draw a bigger team away, because there's no prize money and the gates are split. So if it is 50-50, or no, it's about 60-40, I think, isn't it? Something like that.
45-45 with 10 going to the league from what I can get.
That's the one, yeah. So I mean, you know, it's a decent split. You know, if they get a big crowd, we'll get more money potentially than we would have done if it had have just been, you know, a sellout league game at home, for example. So interesting one, and hopefully a bit of a boost to the coffers.